Thanks everybody for coming to this presentation. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Neil Sweeney. I'm the founder, CEO of Reklaim. Not my first time at this event. Presented this company last year as well. So for those of you that were here last year, this is a bit of an update. And for those of you that this is the first time seeing the company, hopefully this will make sense to you. Just to give you some context as to who Reklaim is, this company was founded at my last public company. Really what we saw as the opportunity specifically in the market was that there was really no platform for consumers to have really any control or optionality around their data. Everybody in this room has a data profile. Nobody in this room has control of it. Reklaim really set out to really try to provide a platform to allow you to reach into the market to see the data that is currently circulating on you, reclaim it into an ecosystem that is controlled by you, and then option it to a platform, brand, or AI agent for compensation for its use, or sign up to a subscription product to actually have it removed from various platforms to actually reduce the amount of data of yours that is actually circulating in the market. So we'll get into some more of these individual details, but everybody can interact with these products. They're all consumer focused. You can download the Reklaim Rewards product out of the App Store, and you can sign up to the Reklaim Protect product online and play around with them. Okay, so this is obviously why everybody's here. Why should you invest in Reklaim? Everybody's got lots of different opportunities. So I'm biased on this, but I think when you go through the checklist of things that investors want, I think we hit on most of them. First of all, we're profitable. We've been profitable for 2 straight years. We generate free cash flow. We operate at 80% margin. We have no debt. I'm the single largest shareholder. I own over 35% of the individual stock. We tend to grow 25 to 50% a year. We operate at 80% margin. We have a clean balance sheet. All these things that we've actually listed here. The bottom line here specifically is that we have a diverse revenue stream. So up until now, if you've been watching the Reklaim stock, it's really a rear view mirror on everything that we've been doing on that compensation side of the business. We generate a commission every time your data is sold to a business. If we do $6 million in profit or $6 million in revenue, that's $6 million in commissions. If we're going to grow the revenue 25%, it means the commission revenue is growing 25%. It's a really easy model to understand. The more data that we sell, the more money we make, and actually the more money each of the individual consumers make. The diverse revenue stream is the secondary stream of the introduction of Reklaim Protect. We'll get into some more details specifically on that in the presentation. That's an AI-based privacy agent. It's a SaaS-based product. It sells at $3 a month, $20 a year. It's a recurring revenue line that's entirely accretive to the actual Reklaim model today. Reklaim trades at 1.5 times sales, maybe even less. If you're buying Reklaim today, you're getting the rewards business and it's 25% growth and all the things on this list, and you're basically getting a free option on Protect. I'll talk about the AI native product evolution. All of our products are rooted in AI, and you'll see how we're actually pushing further into this space. I'm personally of the opinion that if you have a company today and it's not rooted in AI, you won't have a company for long. And lastly, we'll talk a little bit about some of the catalysts in the market, specifically around regulation and how this $100 billion data market that we all operate in today is moving to one specifically that will require consumer compliance. Okay, so here's the capital structure. 126 million shares. Back out of that, remember I own 35% of it. There's 2 individuals that own upwards to 10%, so the float isn't nearly as big as you think. 1.5 million warrants at 10 cents that expire in the spring of next year, 35% ownership. You can find us on both the TSX.V. You can also find us on the OTC. We always have around 500 plus cash in the business. Everybody always wants me to have more cash, but I'm growing the business. So anything usually over and above that number tends to go back into the business to try to grow the revenue line. We used to have a debenture. We got rid of that debenture, hence the reason that there's actually no debt. We have $1.2 million in working capital. We also have an approved share buyback program that we're actively participating in a monthly allocation as well. So I think the hygiene here around the capital structure is getting better and better. The leadership team, me on the left, Jake is the CTO, former Cisco. Been with me in 2 businesses. He's been with me in Reklaim and was in the business prior to this, a business called Freckle, which some of you might be familiar with as well. That was also a public company. Stuart is the CFO. Mark is new to the actual leadership team. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Mark's recently come in as the VP of product. He was the former president of Norton, where he was running privacy. He's come in specifically to run this new division inside of Reklaim called Protect. So he has all the subject matter expertise as it relates to positioning, growth, functionality, etc. It's a godsend for me because it allows him to kind of run that product versus me having to do it. So we think that now that we have the product, having Mark here to operationalize and really grow the product really gives Protect a huge opportunity to succeed. Okay, so a little bit of context here. The bigger notion of privacy regulation is reshaping the $100 billion data market. There's over 3,000 data brokers in California alone, all of which have your data and are arbitraging that data today. What's happening is the government, specifically at the state level, is changing privacy law to make that illegal. The 3,000 data brokers who are doing billions of dollars in revenue are going to zero. All that money is coming back into the market from a demand perspective, and it needs a new home. This is where Reklaim can participate. You don't have to take my word for it. Over the last 2 years, you've gone from 0 states having European privacy type data laws to now there being 20. I mentioned the 3,000 data brokers, the overall size of the $100 billion market in transition. I don't personally believe that there's a path forward for these data brokers, and we've already seen it where huge data companies like Oracle have left the business altogether. There's accelerating enforcement where you can't just flippantly buy and sell data. You will be charged by the AG. And we're seeing the emergence of more and more state-level data registries where if you even want to operate in that state, you actually have to be registered as a data company, which makes it easier to have your data removed, but also for all of the enforcement to actually take place. So why that's relevant to us at Reklaim is we're experts in data and we're experts in privacy. As I mentioned before, Reklaim is really the business that focuses on simplistically payment for your data, where Protect is the industry or the business that is really about data removal and protection. We think that this narrative of change in the market regarding AI, data, privacy, regulation, there's an intersection between these two. And I think from a product perspective, we always knew that there was a subset of people that would be open to wanting to see their data and selling that data, but we never had a product for people that didn't want to sell their data and they only wanted to protect it. With these 2 products, we feel that we can actually cover the entirety of the total addressable market as it relates to data and privacy, which by our calculation is over $115 billion. We mentioned this before, that again, the total addressable market for the data market is north of 100 billion, and for the privacy market, which Norton and others participate in, it's about 9 billion. Just diving down a little bit specifically into the Reklaim rewards model, the best way to think about this is similar to what you would see from an Airbnb or an Uber, where Uber doesn't own any cars, Airbnb doesn't own any real estate, but yet Airbnb facilitates stays, Uber facilitates rides. We don't technically own any data. The data is owned by you, the consumer. We facilitate that transaction on behalf of the individual, and similar to these businesses here, we actually take a commission. So the more rides, the more stays, the more data sales, the more commissions. For those of you that are familiar with Reklaim, this is a bit of an iteration on a redemption rail. So you as a consumer inside of Reklaim Rewards, you receive a royalty every time your data has actually been purchased by a brand. You have full transparency and control on that. You can change that whenever you like. We've introduced this concept of the jackpot in the United States. This is a live product today, where rather than taking money specifically out of the actual product, you can actually pledge it to a larger jackpot. Today, we run a monthly $10,000 jackpot, and we have 10% participation from consumers inside of our product today. We believe that by the end of this month, it's going to be north of 30%. Why is this important? A couple of reasons. One, the most basic level, it fixes the amount of cash that we're paying out on a monthly basis, which allows us to actually provide more money into the market to promote the brand. Secondly, it creates attention for the individual consumer where Traditional psychology would be you can earn $5 or $10 inside of Reklaim transactionally, or you can put the $5 or $10 into a much larger jackpot for an opportunity to win $10,000. We believe that this is the iteration where the redemption model is going to go for rewards, where we believe that this will become the only redemption model moving forward. So 10% participation, we believe it's going to be 30, and moving into next year, we believe Reklaim rewards will be closer to 100%. Great opportunity for brand visibility, cost control, as well as engagement. When you flip it around and you look sort of specifically at the privacy market, this is the market that actually Reklaim Protect operates in. 35% of the market is actually controlled by 4 or 5 firms. These are all household names: TransUnion, Norton, etc. We obviously have visibility on these individual firms. 60% of the market, or $4+ billion of total addressable market, is accessible to us, and we know definitively is part of the market that these individual companies do not want to chase. We believe we have a leadership advantage in this space, knowing that the person that's running it comes from that incumbent. We believe that from a product perspective, we actually have an advantage because our product is not a flat web-based product. It's an actual AI native agent that communicates individually with each person. We also think that there's unique positions to cross-sell in conjunction with Reklaim rewards, where rather than taking payment for rewards, you might want to actually subscribe to Protect and other opportunities. And we think as a consequence of this, it's uniquely positioned to actually take advantage of that market. So a couple of quick things just specifically around the product of Protect. Continuous 24/7 monitoring of your data and your identity on the dark web, alerting you should there be any breach. We also provide real-time alerts. These are alerts of your data that has been breached that has not even made it to the dark web as of yet. If you're a member of Reklaim Protect, you would have received alerts regarding the recent WestJet breach, Life Labs breach, etc. This data is not even on the web. So Reklaim Rewards is the destination and the source where you will find out about your data being breached before anyone else. By the way, none of the incumbents do this. Automation at scale. We've integrated our product into all those state registries that I've mentioned. You sign up to Reklaim today, your data will be removed from the 600 data brokers in California, the 400 in Texas, and the 250 in Vermont over a 7-day period. And then obviously there's an AI upsell associated to this where it's inherently conversational. If you are in the WestJet breach, you can ask the agent, what am I going to be doing next? Do you want to be informed about class actions? Do you want to be enrolled in a class action? So on and so forth. Again, none of the incumbents do this. The Protect growth scale for us this is an important piece to gravitate to as an investor. We believe in 2026 there'll be 400,000 users of Protect around the world. This product sells at $3 a month. 100,000 incremental users every quarter for 4 quarters gets you to 400,000. You can do the back of the envelope calculation and determine whether or not that's factored into the current model that you have on Reklaim today, which is entirely dependent upon Reklaim rewards. It's an additional SaaS-based subscription added to the revenue line that we have today. It's high margin, it's AI native. Additional capital here, potentially to fuel even accelerated growth, is an option here. But simplistically, 100,000 subscribers over the course of a quarter at $3 would be $900,000 incremental to a business of our size. That would be material. And yes, we plan on breaking those numbers out in our financials so that you can track them. Okay, quickly to just Reklaim Q2. So 77% gross margin. This was down a couple points. That's a one-time item. It'll be back above 80% in the next quarter. 1.29 million, 18% up from Q2 of last year. Just for some context, we were up 70+% in Q1 year over year. We've had 2 consecutive years of profitability. Again, we typically grow 25 to 50% of the year. We expect that to actually happen again for this year. When you look at the rolling revenue, again, same numbers, 18% growth in Q2, 73% year over year in Q1, 2 years of profitable. The projection is 25%. And the gross margin is strong and resilient across all those quarters. This is the only time the actual margin's been actually lower than 80%. Don't focus on this and think that all of a sudden the margins are decreasing. They are not. They are not. This was a one-time item from a one-time vendor. It will be north of 80% again. Okay, so quickly as to why the moat at Reklaim is growing and getting better. We have a head start. So as it relates to the reward side of the business, there's a laundry list of tombstones of companies, public and private, that have tried to do the rewards model. Every single one of them has failed. I don't think that that's because we're necessarily smarter than those people. I just think we have a better understanding of the data sales market. So we feel very confident in our ability to continue to grow the rewards model. But because we understand intimately who has data, who's buying data, and who's selling data, it sets us up to do very well on the privacy side of the business because we are actually looking at it through a completely different lens. We also think, as it relates to the big tech companies, when you actually look at the reward side of the business, these individual businesses have an inherent disadvantage to participate in a rewards program because Facebook and Google don't want to alert consumers as to how much data they have on them, how much money they're making off that data, and actually beginning to share that data with individual consumers. So there's a disadvantage to them trying to venture into this market, which gives us an opportunity to actually continue to grow. I mentioned the AI evolution. I'll speak more specifically on the next slide, but rewards is increasingly being underpinned by AI, and the protect side of the business is entirely AI-driven. We also think, again, because our business has been built specifically around compliance and data privacy, that there's an alignment amongst these two products. So just quickly here, as it relates to the next phase of growth for these two products, first starting with Reklaim Rewards. We already mentioned the transition of the redemption rail from a transactional model to one that is actually more aspirational in the form of the jackpot. Inside of the Reklaim model today, or inside of the Reklaim application, there is a panel where you are asked questions. This is in the process of being entirely replaced. It will be a fully AI agent by the end of this quarter, where it's a full conversational, personalized AI agent allowing an unlimited and unprecedented ability to actually capture information specifically on consumers. Moving forward, the application is going away. The next great company is not going to be an application. It will be an AI agent. Reklaim is transitioning away from the OEM market and will become a fully AI agent moving forward by the end of Q1 in 2026. This is really important because from a business perspective, it also allows you to get away from the rules and regulations that come packaged with Apple and Google if you are an application living and breathing in their ecosystems. On the Reklaim Protect side, the incumbents are flat web-based products focused on email. Reklaim is not. It's an entire conversational AI that is focused on data removal, security, and additionally to email, your mobile phone number, because everybody here has probably received spam texts and calls. This is very much part of the future. The traditional products are expensive, but they're also very much me too, and there's zero consumer interaction. You sign up, it's a one-way street. In ours, it's bi-directional, it's fully conversational. The price point unlocks a completely different side of the market, and as I said before, it's entirely AI first.